Oh, look at this. Somebody knows how to pack. Alright, happy Sunday everybody. Today I am just driving back from a little rendezvous to pick up a quick cast iron pan off Facebook Marketplace. This was one of those contactless transactions where it was left in a bag on the door, and then I just put the money in the mailbox. So I didn't get a good look at it, but it was a BSR for 20 bucks. And I thought it might have been a little bit bigger than a number 8, but it's a number 8. So that's not bad. I'm going to take a better look at it when I get a chance to stop. But I just grabbed it and put the 20 bucks in the mailbox, and we'll see what happens. All right, let's take a quick look at this since I got the car started. Let's see what we got. So, BSR Red Mountain. Ooh, hand etched. Look at that. Hand scribed 8.Y. An oldie. Little rusty, but nice. So I think this is clearly a Red Mountain, and I mean the Red Mountain by every definition. See how big those pour spouts are? I've seen some Red Mountains that have smaller pour spouts, and people say that the smaller ones, while they were the transitional pieces that were made by the automated machines, and these older ones with the bigger pour spouts were not. So this is really a nice example. I'm gonna look forward to restoring this, and we'll see what we got. Okay, so I'm back home, and here is this pickup off of Facebook Marketplace for 20 bucks. In the pictures, I thought it was bigger. I thought it was a number 10, maybe even a number 12, which is why I jumped on it. I didn't realize it was a number 8. I might not have even gone for just a regular number 8 BSR for 20, except I'm glad that I did, because it's clearly a Red Mountain. Look at that, hand-scribed 8.Y. And a nice thin, I don't think I have seen one of these really early Red Mountains, at least not in the number 8. I'm going to have to go through all my BSRs and take a look and see what I've got. But for comparison, here's a Century number 8. It's significantly heavier, and this just seems a little more delicate, and this seems a little more rough. You can see what I'm talking about with the pour spouts. See how these pour spouts are significantly bigger. This is basically supposed to be the same size pan, but as I understand, they made the pour spouts smaller so they could fit more of these per mold in the automated molding machines. So this is clearly not in the automated machines. This is the ones that are done by hand before the DISA machines. You can see some differences with the heat ring, but generally speaking, it's a similar style. I'm really looking forward to getting this thing cleaned up. It looks to be in really good condition and quite an oldie, so I don't think that I'll put this in the booth. I think this is going to stay as part of my collection, but you never know. Do I really need that many skillets? But I'm going to clean this up, and we're going to see what this looks like. Speaking of pickups, I got another eBay auction in. Shall we take a look and see what we got here? Oh, look at this. Somebody knows how to pack. Look at that. That's the way to do it. As you can tell, this is quite a tiny little thing, right? So let's take a look at what it is that I actually got. Look at that. Pool noodles and everything. Thank you to whoever did this. That is absolutely magnificent. This is very well packed. This was another impulse purchase. This is more to complete my size collection than anything else. Let's see what's in here. Wow, this is so well packed. Look, it's a little teeny tiny guy. But it's not a toy. Look at that. It's such a weird size. Look at that. It's too big to be for a dollhouse. I don't know exactly what it's used for, but look at that. Favorite Pequa wear number 1, a size 1. Isn't that cool? Have you ever seen anything like that? I have not. It popped up on eBay, and it wasn't too expensive. I think I got it for maybe like under $50. And that's quite... I've never seen one up for auction before. And that's just beautiful. Outer heat ring, clear number 1. Just really, really neat. So, I mean, can you imagine a Griswold number 1, what that would go for? I don't know. Do they even make number 1s? I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you know more about where this came from and if it was part of a doll set, I don't think so. But it could just be for one little egg or what? I don't know. Who would use a little tiny thing like this? Let me know what you think, but I think it's pretty cool. At some point I'm going to do a video on all my little ones and other stuff like that, so stay tuned for it. Okay, so here we got a Birmingham Stove and Range number 8. You don't see a lot of BSRs on eBay, and I think it's maybe just because maybe they're less popular up in the north where most of this trading activity is, or maybe they don't command enough money to really justify being put in an auction. So this is being listed as a Red Mountain, and as you can see, it doesn't have any of the Century Series traits. It doesn't have the small fonts. It has the big font like you would expect from a Red Mountain, but there's a lot of debate over whether or not some of these are transition pieces, and it depends on 2 factors. Let's see if there's enough pictures for us to look at these things, the 2 factors. So one of them is this lip here. Apparently, the Red Mountains had a thicker lip, and they also had bigger pour spouts. So this appears to be a transition one from what I've learned. So the pour spouts are relatively small, and I am going to try to find one of these transition pieces. I may have one in my booth, but I've got a bona fide Red Mountain that I know is original, and I want to compare the pour spouts so we can see them. I can't remember if it's Century that has the thicker rim or Red Mountain, but one of those has a thicker rim and those pour spouts are larger or smaller. The earlier ones have bigger pour spouts. But anyway, what this has to do with is whether or not this was made in those DISA, those automated molding machines. So when Birmingham Stove and Range got the automation, they continued to use the original Red Mountain skillet molds, and they just put them in the automation process. But eventually they redesigned the designs of their pans ever so slightly so they could fit more pans per mold. And one of the ways they did that was by making these pour spouts a little bit smaller on the later versions. So what you have is you apparently have, and there's not a lot of different variations of BSR, different models of pans. You have their Red Mountain, which was their earliest series, and then you have their Century, which was their later series, and then you have these ones in between where they got the automation and then they started transitioning and making some minor design modifications. Now, I personally don't really care. I think if you want to say what's Red Mountain and what's Century, the easiest way to differentiate that is to say these big lettering on it like this is Red Mountain, and the small lettering where it says 11 3/4 inch skillet on it, those are clearly Century. They're all hand finished though. Some of them were made in the DISA machines and some of them were made in other molds that weren't as automated. But the purists really like to argue about whether or not these transition pieces should be called Red Mountain or not. I don't care that much, but I do recognize there are some differences, and that means something to some people. So let me know what you think. And we could go on for days and days on this, but I thought this might be fun to just randomly pick a few auctions off of eBay and talk about them, because this is another way of kind of just if you're just wanting to kind of snoop around at what's out there, it's great to see what's available. So that's basically it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and enjoying the video series and supporting me thus far by subscribing and clicking like and all of that. And if you want to catch me on TikTok, sometimes I have previews of what I'm working on that I haven't published lately. That's at TikTok/@WisdomStudio. And if you're on Facebook, look up the group Vintage Cast Iron Hunting, Restoration, Identification, and Sales. And until next time.